Hey, we're here talking to some of the marketplace folks. We realize marketplace is really kind of a strategic investment on our part and a big bet for us, and also a place where you guys can go to make money finally on Windows mobile applications. And with me is John Bruno, and I'd just like to take a couple minutes for John for you to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Steve. I'm John Bruno. I'm a senior program manager on the Windows Marketplace for Mobile team. Primarily, my responsibilities are around the ISV and developer story, so how developers join the marketplace program and bring their apps to market.
Excellent. And so, I just got some questions for you, John, that I thought the audience might want to know. What is Marketplace?
So, Marketplace is an on-device client and PC web experience that is going to ship with Windows Mobile 6.5. And that'll allow users to browse and buy applications for their Windows Mobile 6.5 devices, either through the PC website or through the actual mobile client on device.
Great. And so for these guys, what are the important dates to remember around Marketplace?
So there's really a few important dates from a developer's perspective. For starters, sometime in the spring, in the next, say 30 days or so, we're going to launch the ability to sign up for the Marketplace ISV program. So developers can get on board and begin the process of joining the marketplace program. Later this summer, we're going to bring on the functionality that allows you to actually submit and manage your applications and push them up into the catalog. And then later in the fall, we'll actually launch Marketplace itself alongside Windows Mobile 6.5.
Awesome. So how much does it cost for an ISV to get up and running with Marketplace?
So to get started, it's a $99 fee. That's an annual subscription, which what that covers is it basically covers the cost of vetting the ISV. So we, in turn for that fee, will issue a Class 3 publisher certificate, so that all your apps are then signed with that certificate as you submit to the program. And from there, I believe for 2009, we're going to give you 5 application submissions for free as a part of that $99 subscription.
Awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about the signing and certificate piece, and why is it so important that these guys sign and certify their apps through Marketplace?
So I'll take that in 2 parts. So signing is really all about putting your identity on top of the application binary. So for, let's say you submit an application, you sign it with your publisher ID, that's your publisher certificate. That gives us assurances that you are a legitimate developer and have signed that and take responsibility for that application. Certification is really about making sure that the application runs on the device as expected and users get a pretty predictable experience when they buy it. So certification really is about 3 different sets of criteria. The first set is what we call the Windows Mobile logo criteria, which is 60 objective different tests. It basically makes sure that the app is functional, is not malware, that it doesn't do anything sort of evil or illegitimate to other things on the device. And then the second set is all about what applications what content types are allowed in the store. So making sure that we don't put content in the store that could be offensive to users, for example. And the third set of criteria is really about the application types that are allowed.
Okay.
And by types we really mean things that may not be prohibited, or maybe prohibited in certain locales or on mobile operator networks, like gambling applications, for instance.
Right. So how am I going to know, before I go through this process, how am I going to know what applications will pass and when won't? Is there going to be a mechanism for me as a developer to say, hey, look, I'm looking at this stuff, I know I need to change these things before I even go through a certification process? How is that going to work?
Yeah, so it's all about giving you the information up front so you build your application with these things in mind. At the time we actually launched the Marketplace developer experience, we'll launch the criteria as well. So we'll provide developers with access to everything we're going to check and every policy that we're going to evaluate the application for. So there's no guessing games in terms of what you're going to be measured against. So hopefully you bake that into your development process, and you just know when you submit the app that you have a pretty high chance of getting it through.
So with Marketplace, Marketplace is on device, on Windows mobile devices. But a lot of our developers have other channels they want to get their apps out through. Can I, as a developer, pimp my stuff out through more than Marketplace? Am I locked in the Marketplace, or can I use other places to get my content distributed?
Yeah, so we obviously think the marketplace is the best place to get your content pimped out and distributed to the various Windows Phone owners. And for folks who may not know like what that footprint looks like, we are talking about there's roughly 50 different device manufacturers in over 55 countries with roughly 160 mobile operators who are delivering Windows Mobile phones to end users. Marketplace will be on the device of all those Windows Mobile 6.5 devices. So the opportunity for developers is to reach a pretty broad audience out of the gate. Now, for actual collecting money, we're going to actually collect money on day one in 29 different markets. So that means at launch there will be storefronts on devices in 29 countries where we can collect funds. In the remaining countries, there'll be storefronts where free apps can be sold. So, from a distribution perspective, we think Marketplace is the best bet for ISVs and developers. That said, there's nothing that prevents you from selling it on your own website or distributing it through some other channel. Direct deals with mobile operators. There's no limitations.
Cool. So the important part for probably everyone out here is watching is cashola. So how do I get paid? What's the revenue split? How do I start getting money?
So I mentioned the sign up. During the sign up, you're going to be asked to give us like your bank account and routing information. With that, we're going to provide you an electronic funds transfer on some periodic interval. I think there's I'm not exactly sure what that interval is at the moment, but basically it's a 70% revenue share to the ISV developer. That gets paid electronically in, I believe, 7 different currencies currently.
So is there any criteria or limitation for the amount of FART applications we can have in Marketplace?
Did you say FART applications?
Yeah, FART applications.
I don't believe that I am aware of any criteria that limits the number of FART applications.
Okay, because a good FART application makes a platform. I'm a firm believer. And so, we talked a little bit about regions being supported at launch. If I'm an ISV and I want to get my app in other regions, how does Marketplace help me facilitate that?
So at launch, Marketplace will be supporting 29 different markets for where we'll be able to collect currency. So 55 markets globally will be able to actually have free marketplaces, but in 29 of those we'll actually collect currency. So what Marketplace is doing to help developers is through the certification process, we're making sure that if you want to take your English application, translate it to French, and then sell it in the French markets, we'll make sure that translation actually is legitimate and works well from a French language perspective.
Right. Are we going to be providing any translation services, or is that up to the ISVs to actually translate the app themselves?
At launch, it's going to be up to the ISV, but that's something we're definitely considering.
Excellent. And knowing that John Bruno is such a small guy, he's this tiny man. Knowing that John's such a smart guy, John actually just recently published a book, and I want to give him just a little shout out to the book. And I haven't read it yet, mostly because I don't know how to read. But John, you want to talk about your book just a little bit?
Sure. Well, thanks for the plug. So the book was released in mid-February. It's called Solid Code: Optimizing the Software Development Lifecycle from MS Press. It is available on obviously Amazon.com, Borders, Barnes & Noble, all those sorts of places. And I co-wrote it with a guy called Donis Marshall, who
he's a little taller than you, right?
He's a little taller than me, and actually is the previous author of many C# books from MS Press. And this book is really all about building quality into your development process from a coding perspective, design perspective, security, performance, scalability, sort of the end-to-end life cycle.
Perfect. So the man who wrote the book on creating performant code is in charge of creating the code for Marketplace. I think that's pretty good. John?
Steve?
I'd like to thank you, and tune in soon for more great stuff from the WinMob Squad.